So today I'm going to share with you some of my rules of what I generally like to follow, and I hate to call them rules, but they're more like guidelines to really help me keep in check and accountable for how I buy handbags. It's really how I personally like to curate my handbag collection, because the reality is I can't buy every handbag out there, nor do I want to. I really want to be considered in when I'm purchasing a handbag and make sure that it's going to last me a really long time. You know, because sometimes there is a difference between lusting over a bag and really falling in love with a handbag. So you can't have them all, or at least I can't have them all. So here's number one. I really don't like to buy duplicates. Now, I say that generally speaking. There's a video coming up where I kind of violated that, but I do think in that case it made sense. So I'm not sure which order this is going out in, but I'm talking about my Fendi baguette. I've always said I'm never going to duplicate a silhouette because there's just too many beautiful handbags for me to say that I loved it so much I bought it twice, because there is too much variety and I want to have the freedom of choice and the freedom to have variety and be able to enjoy many different kinds of bags and silhouettes and things like that, that I really steer away from buying the same silhouette. I know there are some people who collect a rainbow of colors in that same silhouette, but what happens when you fall out of love with that particular silhouette and style of bag? Now you're stuck with like 5 classic flat pan bags, just all in different colors. And you know, there's this feeling of really feeling stuck because you've fallen out of love with it, because your aesthetic just changed, or maybe your lifestyle changed and now that silhouette doesn't quite work for you. And so again, you feel kind of stuck in that. So having the variety and freedom to choose from so many different options is something that I really gravitate towards, and that's why I really try to limit duplicates in the same silhouette and style of a bag. And you know, it could be that if you're in your 20s especially, you don't want to buy too many duplicates because your lifestyle will change and be different from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s and onwards. So I think there is something to be said about considering the fact that your lifestyle might change. That particular silhouette may no longer work for you. And you don't really know that until you kind of go through the seasons of life. The next kind of rule that I set for myself is really considering overly fragile materials. I really try to steer away from those because it can break, it can wear, it can kind of like shred. Those are some of the things that I don't like spending a lot of money on those kinds of fragile materials. Same with sequins, same with suede. I really love the way suede bags look and feel. There's really nothing like a suede bag. It really gives a very specific look and I love that. But I do try to steer away from it because I do find that it really is notorious for, forget it if you stain it or get something on it, it's going to completely ruin. It's not easy to get stains out, but also color transfer is very easy on suede. That is 100% true. The other guideline I try to follow is really avoiding heavily trendy bags. So many times we see them all over Instagram or social media where there's an it bag of the moment, where it's maybe the Jacquemus, or maybe it's the Dior saddle bag, or maybe it's the Louis Vuitton multi-pochette accessoire. And that's a perfect example because I really did love that and obsess over it. And that was like splashed everywhere, all over the place. Everyone wanted it. It was really hard to get. I eventually did get it, but it did take me a while to get it. Part of it was logistics, so it was forced and not by choice. But I'm glad I couldn't get my hands on it straight away, because my tendency of impulse purchases is that anytime I do that, it's always a regret. Like I just always regret impulsive purchases, and having had to be on a wait list really forced me to wait, because by the time I did get it, that trend was long gone. By the time I did get my hands on it, I still loved it. And the reality was I loved it because it's a very utilitarian bag. It's very functional and it's very useful for so many different occasions. So that's why it worked for me, but there's so many it bags that tended not to be functional. Sitting with the feeling of let that trend pass, and if I still love it, then it's more reason to feel okay about getting it and validating your reasons for actually loving it for the right reasons and not because it's a trend it moment bag. So another rule is really knowing and understanding my personal style, but more specifically understanding and knowing what style and silhouette of a bag works for me and my lifestyle. So a lot of 90s style bags where it's just over the shoulder, it's very kind of like an armpit bag, is very on trend right now. A lot of people, like the 90s is in full force back for some reason. I don't resonate with that style, and that style bag really doesn't work for me. But on the other hand, knowing what does work for you is really useful. The silhouette that I tend to gravitate towards is bags that have a top handle and a crossbody function. So I really like to have the option of both. And a Fendi baguette is one of them because I love a flat bag, but I also love the short top handle. I love the fact that I can crossbody it or shoulder carry it. And having that kind of insight into your own personal preferences of what silhouettes work for you, I think is going to be really important to know going in before you buy a bag. Another rule I set for myself is I just don't buy any fancy, expensive toiletry bags from, the super brand fashion houses. Whether it be a vanity style bag that is as a handbag, or even any kind of toiletry pouch or bag that is meant for toiletries and makeup, like cosmetic pouches. I'll never buy those. I did have a toiletry pouch 26 from Louis Vuitton. I did end up selling that because the idea of it getting filthy with your makeup products or toiletry products, it breaks my heart to get any of that dirty, even though that's exactly the functionality that it's for. I just can't bring myself to put any makeup in that kind of bag, even though it's designed for that purpose. Another rule I really try to follow is really knowing my color story and understanding which colors look good on me, which colors don't look right on me, which colors I feel comfortable and confident in, and also really knowing generally what colors tend to be in my wardrobe. So I tend to wear a lot of black and dark colors. I tend to wear a lot of navy blue, denim colors, some beiges and earthy colors. I like a lot of florals in my outfits and things like that. So they tend to be more earthy and definitely warmer tones. I like my handbags to pop against my outfits. I'm not necessarily a matchy person where I like to match my handbag to the color of my outfit or even to the color of my shoes. I like it to complement my outfit, and by that I do it with colors. As much as I love a black bag, and I do think everyone should have a black bag, most of my bags kind of have a different variety and tone of color, but they all have a color story that complement my skin tone and also complement my wardrobe, because again, I like my colors to pop. So if I'm wearing like a lot of navy blue colors, then I'm not afraid to wear a pop of red on my bag. Similarly, I also know what colors don't work for me. I know that certain tones of orange don't work for me, certain tones of yellow don't work for me, even certain tones of blue, like cornflower blue, looks terrible on my skin tone and I just don't feel myself in it or comfortable in it. So it's really a personal thing. Another rule is asking myself, is this bag too beautiful, too precious, too expensive to wear and enjoy? And therefore, I'm going to be too afraid to wear it. And I totally get that. Trust me, I do. But you have to, in my opinion, it's important for me to get my wear out of the bag. So I never want to be too precious with my bag where I'm afraid to touch it and I'm afraid to wear it. Unless you're a collector type person where you just have the intentions of never wearing it, or maybe it's a collectible type bag and it's too special that you don't want to wear it. I'm not really either of those. So I want to wear all of my bags. And so I never want to be afraid to scratch it or whatever. And as a matter of fact, on one of my wear and tear videos, someone had recently commented and said, you know, because I had said that there was like a deep crease in my Fendi baguette, and I was a little bit bummed about that because it was so pristine otherwise, and for such a long time, for considering how much I've worn that bag. And she said something to the effect of, but that just tells a story of you loving the bag and you wearing it. And I'm like, oh my God, of course. Yes, that's so true. So, you know, it is part of the history and story and what makes the bag yours. And, you know, you putting the scratches and the creases on it or whatever is part of the story of that bag. Okay, so the final, and I think the most important question to ask yourself is, do you just like the bag, or do you just really, really like the bag? Because that still falls in the category of liking the bag. Really, really liking the bag is still just liking the bag. Whereas, do you love the bag? Sometimes you're asking yourself the question of, am I making any concessions on this bag? Or is it perfect the way it is? Sometimes the strap is a little too short or a little too long. Sometimes the chain is a little too heavy than what you might actually like. Sometimes the color is not exactly what you were looking for. It's close, but it's not exactly what you were looking for. And so asking yourself those very hard questions of, what compromises are you actually making, and are you willing to live with some of those compromises, is really important. So let me know, what are some of your rules that you try to follow to make sure that you're making good choices, to make sure that these handbags that you're buying are really going to take you through many, many years, so that you can curate a collection that you will still love, not only 2 years from now, but like 10 years from now, 15 years from now. And I think for me, having a curated collection of bags that will carry through with me for all those years is really important. Now, I will say that I'm in a time in my life where there's not going to be a whole lot of change. I'm not having any more babies. I'm not going through all the seasons of life between marriage, children, school, whatever. I'm kind of past that stage of my life that I feel like I can make those types of decisions. So I can appreciate someone in their mid-20s or even in their 30s maybe, and saying, I'm not quite there yet. I can't make those kinds of lifelong decisions and commit to a type of bag that might carry me for 20 years. That's fair enough. So I will kind of caveat by saying that it kind of depends on where you are in your life. So, you know, I kind of see myself maybe 1 foot in the grave. I'm just kidding. No, maybe I see myself a little bit more stable where I am in my life, that I can make those decisions. These are just guidelines. I hope you found them helpful. Let me know what kind of guidelines you like to follow before you buy a handbag to help you make the right choice and curate the perfect collection for yourself. I'd love to hear those in the comments below. If you enjoy this video, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one.